Welcome to this tutorial where we are going to create a fireworks display. You might think that you need a lot of sprits to create a fireworks display, but actually Scratch's cloning feature makes it quite easy. Clones are great for making explosions and other moving patterns, so the computer graphics created with this technique is known as the particle effect. So we're going to get started by just deleting this cat, and we're going to start by painting a new sprit using this brush here to design our rocket. Now you can make it as complex as you like, or you can follow along with mine, which I'm going to make fairly simple. So I'm going to choose the rectangle, and I'm going to start with sort of a browny orange, and I'm going to create a long base for my rocket. And I'm going to draw another rectangle. This time I'll choose yellow, and I'm going to make sure that I get it a little bit wider than my fuse area. And now I'm going to choose the line tool, and I'm going to make the tip of my rocket using a red. I'm going to make that line a little bit wider too, so I can see it easier. And I'm going to draw a triangle off the top. There we go. And then I'm going to use the paint bucket tool to fill it in. Oops, undo. I want to fill it in, yet I can see I'm not quite closed to fill it in, so I'm going to redo that line. Try that again. There we go. Alright, so now I've got the tip of my rocket. I can add some more details if I want, maybe add a little bit of lines on your rocket itself on the sides. Give it a little detail. And like I said, you can make this as detailed as you want. I'm not going to go into great detail as we're going to get started on our fireworks display. So there we go, add a couple lines if you want to fill those in. There we go. As you can see, I didn't do a great job. My lines overextended and are outside of it. If you want to touch that up, you can always use the erase tool and just try to fix that up just a little bit. I didn't do the greatest of jobs, but that's okay. Good enough. Alright, now what we want to do is we want to use the select tool here, and we're going to draw a box around our rocket. Now you can see the size of your rocket underneath here in the costumes tab. I don't want my rocket to be no wider than 10 and no taller than 50. So I'm going to make it quite a bit smaller and then click outside, and you can see I'm still too large. So I'm going to create another box around it, and I'm going to shrink them down even more. So my height is fine, I'm under 50, but I'm still too wide. I could even make them a little bit taller. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to make them a little bit taller and a little bit skinnier there. So I'm almost perfect. I'm going to make them yet just a little bit less wide here. Might even have room to go a little bit there. Almost there. So we don't want to get wider than 10. It will look bigger when we actually use it. Really fussy here. Okay, perfect. Now I want to make sure also that I have my rocket centered, so I'm going to use the center costume over here, and I'm going to click on the middle of my rocket. Okay, so it brings it over to the center of my stage. Now I'm going to go over to my stage background over here. We're going to click on there. We don't need that center option on, so just click on any of your options to get rid of that. And I'm going to rename this stage Flash. I want to have a flash so that when my rocket goes off, there's like a little bit of a flash of light. Now I'm going to paint a new backdrop underneath. and we're going to call this one Night. And we're going to paint ourselves a little nighttime scene. So I'm going to choose the paint bucket tool, and I'm going to pick two blue colors. So I've already got one there, and I can pick another blue color, so they're slightly different. The bottom one here is a gradient tool, so it's not going to be one solid color. It'll make a blend of the two colors you've picked. Now, there's not a huge difference there, so I may even want to choose a different blue and then try that again. Now, you'll see a line comes up, so it has a bit of an issue there. So if that's the case, just go back until you've got your two colors you want, check the gradient tool, and then click on it again. So anyways, however you want to make that. Now we're going to add, if you want, you can add in some buildings. So if I'm going to use the rectangle tool with, I'm just going to use black, the fill option, and I'm going to drag out some buildings here. Don't need to be perfect. A couple side by side, some wider, some taller. Okay, so we're just creating a little bit of a scenic background, if you will. And let's go with another one. And one more. Okay, now you can use the same sort of idea to create little boxes with windows or whatnot, some lights, however many you want to add. I'm not going to go and add a whole bunch because that would just take a long time for you to watch me. So I'll just throw a few in there to give you an idea of how you can create your night scene. And you can do anything you want. It doesn't even have to be a building scene, so I'll leave that up to you. And a few more. Okay, and you can make them different sizes. Some might be long and skinny. Some might be more square. Wherever you decide to make it. These guys little squares. A couple more in here, just to give it that effect when we're done. Okay. So I'm not exactly even all over the place, but that doesn't matter. It's not the purpose of this tutorial. Okay, so I'm going to leave it there. Good enough. Now what we're going to do is we're going to go to click back on your rocket, and we're going to start the script for it. So start with your events tab, that when the rocket is clicked, we are going to hide it, and then choose in your controls a forever loop, and we're going to choose wait until our mouse is down. So that's a sensing option. You'll find that one where it says mouse down. And then we're going to have the motion to go to the mouse. So we're going to go to not necessarily the mouse pointer, we're going to have it go to this XY value. The X value is going to be mouse X, and Y is going to be negative 180. That means it's going to start negative 180 on Y is down here in this corner. So we want it to your rocket to launch from the bottom, not somewhere in the middle of the sky. All right, after that happens, we can then go into looks and show. And then we will have the rocket have a motion of gliding. So we want it to glide for 1 second and then have it go to mouse X and mouse Y. So wherever I click my mouse, it's going to have a different X and Y value. You can see those X, Y values in the bottom right changing. So wherever I click, that is where my rocket is going to glide to cause my explosion. So once it does that, it's going to hide, and I'm going to broadcast a message. What I want my message to say is bang. So I'm going to use the drop down and create a new message that says bang. Now I'm going to, when I receive that message, bang, I want to switch my backdrop to flash so it looks like the firework has gone off. So in the looks, I'm going to go switch backdrop to flash. And then I'm just going to wait at like a fraction of a second. I'm going to wait 0.1 second. And then I'm going to go back to my looks, and then I'll switch my backdrop to night. So if we run our project, we can see that when the rocket launches up, it gives you that flash. So wherever I click on my screen, the rocket follows that area and it will go off wherever I've clicked. Alright, so now we're going to add some exploding stars. So what we want to do is we want to go back to the spritz and we're going to paint a new spritz symbol. This one we're going to call stars. What I want to do here is I'm going to go convert to vector because our star is going to be so small. If we convert to vector, then it will still keep the stars circular even though they're really small. So converting to vector, I'm going to zoom all the way in using this zoom button down here to 1600. And I'm going to choose this circle or ellipse. I have to hold the shift down to actually make it a perfect circle. Choose like a bright green, and then hold the shift button down and just create yourself a circle. Now you can see I am not centered, but that's okay. At the moment we will center that. Now we don't want our star to be any larger than 5 by 5. Right now I'm 8 by 8. So what I want to do is just click on a corner, any corner, drag it down until it's no bigger than 5 by 5. There we go. Now I can click on that center, click on the center of your circle to get it back centered on the stage. Okay, now we can go into the scripts and add the script for the star. So we're going to go to events and choose when clicked. We're going to hide it because we obviously don't want our star going off until our explosion hits. And we're going to choose a control of repeat 300 times, creating a clone of ourselves. So at the bottom here, create clone of myself. Now we're going to click on the data and we're going to create a new variable and we're going to call this one speed. And we want it for this sprit only. So what I'm going to do now is first of all uncheck it because I don't want it showing up in my scene. So I'm going to use an event that when I receive that bang, I'm going to go back to data and I'm going to set my speed to, I want it to be random. I want it to be changing. So I'm going to choose pick random from 0.1 up to 3. So this will be the speed of the fastest star. This will be the speed of the slowest star. Now I'm going to go to looks and I'm going to set the ghost effect to 0. And I'm also going to change the color effect by 25 so that each firework is a different color. Now I'm going to go to my motion and I want the stars to go to the rocket. So I'm going to use the drop down and have it change to rocket. Oh, that's why it's not showing because I didn't rename it rocket. So I'm going to go back into here and just rename that rocket. I could have used Spirit 1, but I prefer names. So let's go back to my star. So go to rocket. And then I'm going to point in a direction. So I'm going to have it go in a direction that is random. And I'm going to go from -180 to positive 180. So having it go to rocket, the explosion will begin at the top of the rocket's climb, and the stars here will randomly spread out in all directions. So when they do that, well, I need to have them show. Oops. Now I can repeat that 50 times, and I'm going to have them each time move a certain number of steps. So I want them to move with the speed. So I'm going to drag that variable we created. Now we're going to add a second repeating loop underneath here. Just going to move these up a little bit. Okay, so in the second repeating loop, I'm going to, it's going to again set the speed to be random. Or sorry, not random. I want it to actually equal. So drag in that data variable. I want my speed in the first one to equal 0.9. So this block reduces the star speed a little bit with each repeat so that they sort of slow down. And then I'm going to have a move steps with the speed. So they're going to move as that speed slows down. That's how fast they're going to move. So then I'm going to change that ghost effect. I want to change and use the drop down. Change the ghost effect by, we want it to be random. So now we can choose this one here to put in there. Pick random from 1 to, say, 3. And at that point, we need to hide at the very end of all that. So try running your project. When the rocket explodes, you should see hundreds of colorful stars flying outward before they start fading. Now you'll notice there's a line being formed here. So that's a bit of a glitch that we need to fix. So they kind of get like sticky stars. This happens if the stars explode before all the clones are created. So to fix this bug, we are going to add a broadcast bug to the bottom of the flag when clicked. So we are going to choose in the events, I'm just going to move this over a bit, broadcast at the bottom of this one, ready. So we need to create a new message, this time saying ready. So now what I need to do is go back. Now that the stars are going to be broadcasting ready, the rocket needs to receive that ready broadcast. So rather than have the when clicked and hide up here, I'm going to separate that and get rid of that. And I'm going to start this stuff when they receive the message they're ready. So if we try that again, now there's no more line. Now another thing we can do, you'll notice that when these fireworks go off, they're all the same color, which is fine if that's the effect you're going for, but we're going to change the colors a bit. Fire makers, or fireworks makers, I should say, use chemicals to create different colors. So we're going to try to create stars that change colors as they explode as well. So we're going to go to the stars, and we are going to click on, or actually we're going to create a new one. We're going to go to when I receive a bang, we're going to use a repeating loop and we'll change that to 100 to change the color effect. So go into your looks and choose change color effect. Now you can see them already flashing here, a lot of different colors. So rather than 25, we'll do it gradually. We'll go with a 2. And I'll just click somewhere in the middle so you can see it better. So now they're slowly fading and changing different colors. So they keep changing colors as they further expand outward. All right, now if we want, so it's still the same, it's still changing to be one color. If we want them to be changed to be multicolored, then we need to change this color effect to be random. I'm just going to move this up so we can see a little bit better what's going on. So if I was to change this color effect to say pick random and go from -100 to +100, whoops, then try again. Let's see what happens this time. Now you can see it's becoming multicolored. Now, I'm sure you've seen fireworks before. When we watch fireworks, they tend to get these gravity trails as they start to fall down. So we're going to also look at adding some gravity trails. So we're going to modify the script a little bit. What we need to do is we need to add in a pen, because our pen is going to be drawing these gravity trails. So we're going to choose a pen up, and we're going to put that just above where it says go to rocket. And then obviously once it gets to the rocket, we want to put the pen down. All right, so we don't, and as you can see, it's already creating these lines outwards, but it doesn't really look like it's doing it in the form of gravity. So a couple more things we need to do. First thing we're going to do is set a timer. So go into your sensing option, because we don't want those to stay on our screen forever. So we're going to go choose the reset timer and put that above your repeating loop here. And now what we're going to do is we're going to choose underneath our movement, we're going to add in another motion. We're going to choose the change Y. Inside where it says 10, we want to choose a operator, and we're going to choose the one with the subtraction. So we're going to drag that one in there, and we're going to have 0 minus our timer value. So back into sensing, look for the timer and drag that into that second circle. So we're going to change Y. Y value is your vertical axis. So it's going to be 0 minus our timer. Now we're going to add that same locket variable into our second repeating loop. Oh, and as I noticed, I never did change this one to match up as well. Should be the same 50. Essentially, they're pretty much the same scripts in the middle, with the exception of this one. So I want this exact same thing down here. So go back to motion, choose the change Y, put it again under the move speed steps. Again, choose your operator with the subtraction, and type in 0 minus your timer again. Now, this change Y value, this whole thing, this is so the stars fall at an even greater speed as the timer starts to count up. This one here sets the timer to 0, and it starts to count up in seconds. So as the timer starts to count up, the stars start to fall faster. Now what we want to do is, at the very end of this, of our pen, we want to clear it all. So when the timer's done, it starts all over. So I'm going to just stop and restart our project. Now our trails, as you can see, they start to fall in this motion of gravity. They're still there because the timer has to finish counting before it will clear the stage again. What you could do is you can now try to see if you can figure out how to change the color of the trails, or make them brighten or fade out. Just a hint, you'll need to use the set pen color and the set pen shade blocks. But you can see now we've got multicolored fireworks going off, trails happening, and it will eventually clear itself to start all over. So that's it for this tutorial. Hope you have enjoyed creating your own fireworks display to customize it the way you like, and thanks for watching.